Kia ora, hello, haere mai, welcome to the channel. First up, apologies for myself not being on for at least in terms of me like speaking to camera and talking about music or interviewing people. I haven't done anything like that for at least 6 months. So apologies to all, especially to all my subscribers. There's quite a few reasons for that, and I won't go through them all, but I'll just say this, that in October of last year, I had a lot of full-on things happened. Someone young and dear to me passed away unexpectedly. Someone else in my family got their melanoma back, and that was a big concern. It wasn't looking good. They're okay now, thank God, on that front. And then myself, I also got a bit of not melanoma as such, but what they call a basal cell carcinoma, which is a superficial cancer. I got it on my nose, and although it's one that's not so serious, if you don't deal with it, it can get worse. So I was prescribed this cream, which was evidently sort of best described as chemotherapy in a cream, which I'd never heard of that concept, but basically that's what it was. And it worked a treat. My nose started to get all these adhesions, and then they bled, and they weren't too bad at first, but then they just wouldn't go away. So I treated that, but it made my nose go way worse. I looked unbelievably horrific, in fact, but that's what I was told. It's going to get worse before it gets better, and it did get better. So I'm happy about that. So there are three of the kind of main things that deterred me from going on and talking to camera. Aside from the fact that I'm pretty sure I suffer from ADHD, even though I've never been diagnosed, only because in this country it's at least $1,000 or more to have it diagnosed. The government's always talking about training doctors up and getting them to do it, so you only pay like a doctor's fee. It hasn't happened, and I guess it's a bit tricky because not all doctors may want to go into that, because it's sort of although the training's, I don't believe it's that involved, although I don't know for sure. A lot of them may not want to do it on top of their general GP stuff. So there's that thing. But I mean, the government has, if they really, and it's getting worse here in this country. Some people think that ADHD is one of these modern things that hasn't really been proven. Well, I sort of beg to differ, but also, I will say this in my case. Aside from the fact that I'm now 70, I'm getting older, my memory's a lot worse as it slowly deteriorates worse as you get older. That tied in with my ADHD has made it hard for me to get my act together with all these other things that I just mentioned that have been going on in my life, and a myriad of other little not so intense stuff has happened. And so, ADHD gives you a kind of, for want of a better description, it gets you distracted, which in a lot of ways causes a type of procrastination. So, you get your intentions are good, but you just get sidetracked and distracted, and you don't get around to doing stuff. So all of that. So apologies to my subscribers, or apologies to anyone who has seen the channel and has come back to it and think, well, what's going on? I have uploaded the odd live gig, but even not many of them. So my intention from here on in is to be more consistent, because I figure, if I want to get better at this and keep the ball rolling and keep people more interested, I'm going to have to be more consistent. Even at the expense of me still not knowing how to edit. And I probably mentioned this before on the channel, I had a problem with my Mac, which is an older Mac. It's over 10 years old now, but I updated the operating system. The catch was my iMovies that I'd started to try and teach myself won't work with the new operating system. So, and I've had the odd person who said, oh, they'll come over and like help me through it, but they just haven't had time. And I know I've got to do it myself. One thing I'm thinking of, maybe a road I could go down, but I haven't ventured out into this, is to get some sort of, you can get now free AI editing software, which it's early days yet, but as I understand it, it's some are voice prompted. I don't know how much of that is user friendly at this stage, but I'm going to look into it and download a program and see if I can do stuff like that, especially when I want to talk about music, and if I don't have the tactile album or CD, I can't hold it up, yeah, that's another possibility. So anyway, I'm back, and fingers crossed, this is going to be more regular, and I'll do my best, because I figure, even if I just do something small each day or whatever, and a lot of it may not be really planned, which this isn't really. I sort of got a vague idea of what I wanted to do, but not really. So I just want to say I'm back, and I'm going to try and be more regular. So I thought I'd do a couple other things other than announcing I'm back. I thought I'd quickly run through some of my old vinyls that I very rarely look at, because I don't have a working turntable, and it's stored away somewhere. It's broken anyway, it doesn't work. A lot of which are hard to get even in CD form, or they're rare or whatever, or they're local or obscure in whatever way. And, I not having a turntable, and certainly not having a particular software to be able to turn them into MP3s so I can listen to them again, makes it a bit tricky. But I just thought I'd show you a few. I don't know if I'll go into too much detail over each one. I could come back to them to a later time. So if you see any of these album covers and you go, oh yeah, can you tell me more about that? I'm intrigued. I'll attempt to do so maybe on a later video. But I'm going to start off with an independent, locally made album, which came out of what they call a government-funded scheme called Morahu Music. And so it was basically a sort of music school they started up. I don't think there was any strict criteria for joining the school. I think it took from beginners to whoever, as far as I know. This is way back in the 1980s, and this album was made in 1987. And here it is. Here it's called. That's the cover. Madness to Mana, right? Now you won't find this in CD or tape form. You definitely won't find it online, not that I'm aware of. And there's the back cover. So a bit of Maori design on the back there, and so a lot of interesting music on here. For a lot of these people, they hadn't really recorded before they did this. And so it's quite cool that they got the chance. Where was it recorded? I'm not quite sure. It does say on the back here. I won't go through reading it all at the moment. But there's the info there, thanks to who there. And there's basically 3 bands and 1 artist. There's a band called iShents up there, and another band called the Subdominants. iShents is sort of a reggae, little bit of rock band, and then there's the Subdominants, who are an out-and-out punk band. Then there's the Flying Pohawkas over here, Nine Pōhakas. And then a solo artist called Tim Golder. So some of these musos went on to be in quite well-known bands. In fact, two of them were the guitarist and bass player from the original lineup of South Side of Bombay, and they went on to record on their one and only live and studio double album. So yeah, if you want to hear, I can't really, it's been so long since I'll have to get myself one of these, you know, MP3 convert players to put it onto MP3 so I can listen to it again and talk about it perhaps more. Of course, I haven't got a turntable to play it, and even if I could, there may be copyright issues. There's not even a record label listed here. This is interesting. So there's the inside. Just got the title. Yeah. You know. There may be something on the back. I mean, it has got a number. You know how usually record labels have a number. This is PRA 2395. Not sure what that stands for. Anyway, that's that. It's an interesting album. Another one, which I think I've shown before, so I won't go into it too much. One of my old favourite bands from the 70s, Space Farm, a three-piece psychedelic acid rock band, Hendrix influence, but this is all their own original music. I think I've talked about this in my journey to music in one of my earlier things. There's the three members then. This is about 1972. Harvey Mann, vocals and guitar, Billy Williams, bass, and Glenn Absalom, also known as Glenny Pig, drums, who's sadly passed away. So that is a brilliant album and really well recorded. It for that time and the use of stereo, I still don't understand why they don't use better effect of stereo, you know, going from speaker to speaker like they did then. Maybe it was all part of the more early days of stereo and the whole psychedelic effect thing. I don't know. But it's a shame because there's a lot of that, you know, and it's just incredible album, ahead of their time. Another band sort of along the lines who ended up amalgamating with Space Farm is a band that came out of Christchurch. Space Farm were from Auckland. These guys came out of Christchurch called Ticket. This is their first debut album, Awake, which is one of my favourite albums with the sort of unusual artwork there. Yeah, and on the back there's the band, Eddie Hansen, lead guitar and backing vocals, Trevor Tombleson, lead vocals, Paul Woolwright, bass, and Ricky Ball, drums. This is an incredible album, one of my all-time. I'd put this in Space Farm if I had to pick, like, I don't know, desert island albums, or say, you know, sometimes people say 5 or 10 albums you can take. This one and Space Farm would be in my at least top 6 if I had to choose one. Another album by the same band, they only recorded 2, Ticket. This is called Let Sleeping Dogs Lie. This is better recorded. It's got a much better recording. It was done in Melbourne, Australia. It's the back of it. But as an overall album, I think the first one's way better, in my opinion. Not as well recorded, but there's the band there. There's the 4 of them there. Yeah, the 70s, mate. That here, though. So that's that. And through this, and these are not local bands anymore, but everyone, quite a few older people like myself know about this band, Traffic. How cool is this? Yeah, it looks like a cube, right? But it's just a flat cover. It's just the way it's cut and the way it's designed, you know. Comes out like that. My favourite Traffic album, easily, without a doubt. I haven't listened to all of their albums extensively, but this one struck me when I first heard it, and I just played it to death back in the day, back in the 70s. There's Steve Winwood, the real, I suppose, leader, still around today. Back when he was 16, he was in that band Spencer Davis that put out that famous song, Give Meself Some Lovin'. Give meself some lovin'. I can't sing for crap, but you'll know it. Even you young ones have probably heard it. They still play it on the radio sometimes. Credible band. I think this guy, Jim Capaldi, has passed away. Go and find it. Have a listen. Low Spark of the High Heeled Boys. Also, I'm not sure what year that came out. Does it say on the inside? I hate it when they don't tell you that. Could look it up. It's definitely 70s. It's got to be somewhere between, I don't know, 72 and 77, maybe. Somewhere in that realm. This one here is kind of cool. Flora Purim, Brazilian singer. Open your eyes, you can fly. There she is on the back. An amazing singer. This is kind of Brazilian, I don't know whether they call it Brazilian jazz, Brazilian world music, Brazilian jazz rock, Brazilian crossover. It's so many elements to it. It's pretty spacey as well. The band, though, here they are there. I've had this signed as you can see, but just running through the band, George Joke, these are just incredible musicians. They're not all Brazilian. This guy isn't. He's passed away, as is this amazing drummer, Ndugu Leon Chancellor. He's also played with Santana and a myriad of other people. Alfonso Johnson, incredible bass player. These guys are all from the States. There's Flora. This is a guy called David Amaro, who I think is Brazilian, on guitar. This is Hermato, how do you say his name? He passed away not so long ago. Hermito Pascola. He plays the flute and also electric piano. He passed away not so long ago. Incredible musician. And of course, this is Eto Moreira, one of the world's most incredible percussionists, still going today. He's the husband of Flora Purim. So open your eyes, you can fly. I had this autographed because I went to a drum clinic with Ndugu Leon Chancellor, one of the early drum clinics in Wellington. I'd seen one, I think, by Simon Phillips way back in the 80s, and then this was not too long after that. Now, for those of you who may not know commercially, I mean, Leon Chancellor played on heaps of not just obscure jazz or jazz rock albums. He played with Santana, as I said, but he also did the intro or the full drumming on a Michael Jackson song, and I always get these confused. It's either Beat It or Billie Jean. I think it's Billie Jean. And he talked about that at the drum clinic. It was incredible. Lovely guy. So good to have that and have him sign it. Here's another band that you never hear much about, Scottish band, Stone the Crows, and probably one of my favourite all-time vocalists still alive, this woman here, Maggie Bell. This album's called Continuous Performance. I think it's their best album. Incredible. There it is there. Go and search it out. I think you can find it online in places. You might even pick up the odd copy. I managed to pick up a CD of it recently, and I can't really even remember where I got it. I might have got it in a second-hand. No, I think I got it I might have got it second-hand in Slowboat Records in Wellington or somewhere like that, who do second-hand and new records, one of the few surviving record shops still around. Anyway, great album. Here's another interesting person, Annette Peacock, who you don't hear much about. Now, I think she's English. I could be wrong, although I think this was recorded in New York. I don't know how to describe her. She's quite unique. She's got a kind of talking, spoken word, but she sings as well style. Amazing vocalist. But the music on here is really quite jazzy. It's quite funky, and it's quite, I don't know how to describe it. Now, this album, what year did it come out again? 1979. It's got some really good band here. It's got people like Max Middleton, Robert Arwai, Max Middleton keyboards, Richard Bailey, who both played with Jeff Beck for quite a while, and Richard Bailey also played with, and may still play with, Stephen Winwood. John McKenzie, I think's passed away, and Lennox Langton, a steel drums and percussion, who played with Brian Auger in the Oblivion Express. This is a really interesting album. I still love it. I think you can find this online. I doubt whether you'd ever find it on CD or vinyl now. I could be wrong. Okay, here's an interesting guy. Jamaluddin Takuma. Look at that haircut and look at that bass. Now, this guy was sort of ahead of his time. So back in, when's this one? 1983, in music, hardly anyone had haircuts like that. Really? Check it out. And his clothes, he's always been known for his clothes. He's still alive. And to this day, he still wears very colourful and original and unusual clothes. And he's still gigging. So this is a solo album he did. He's well known as playing with jazz artist Ornette Coleman in his crossover free jazz, funk jazz album. He did a band called Primetime. But this is his own album, and this is pretty funky as well. There he is on the back. There's this incredible track called, what is it? Sunk in the Funk. It's a really interesting album. Who's the other well-known muso on here? James Blood Ulmer, electric. I mean, a lot of you may not have heard of him, but people in the jazz or alternative jazz and blues world will know him. He's on here. This is an incredible album. And also, he was one of the first guys to play these basses when they first came out. The Steinberger with no headstock, right? And no machine heads. This was, when this first came out, people went, what the hell is that? Never seen anything like it, because it was the first of its kind without a headstock, machine heads to tune your bass on. Let's go on to another album. I didn't think I'd get through this many. This is an interesting album by a jazz muso who saxophone player, this guy here, Oliver Lake, right? And when I discovered this album, I knew a little bit about him from the jazz scene, but I'd never known him to really cross over into anything different. When he put this solo album out with a band he calls, I think he calls them Jump Up. I don't know if it's the name, but that's the name of the album, but I think he called this particular band that. Here they are on the back. Check this picture out. Look at that. There's Oliver there and all his band. When I heard this album, it was the first time I'd really heard someone taking jazz and mixing it with reggae and funk in a really interesting way. It blew my mind. I'd never heard anyone do it like this before, honestly. I think he could be one of the pioneers of mixing those three genres. I don't know, but it was incredible and I loved it. Again, can't find this album online anywhere. I haven't looked for it extensively, and you won't even find it on music streaming platforms. So if you get a hold of it, it's a damn good album. Oh man, I love it. Again, I'm dying to hear this. I need to get a thing to convert it to MP3 so I can play it again. Another obscure Italian band called Nova. Sort of a jazz fusion album. When I say they're Italian, there's also an American and an English musician in the rhythm section. So this guy here, what's his name? Corrado Rustici. Some here, the guitarist, it's more or less his band. There's another Italian guy, Renato Rosette. I think he's the, keyboardist. And believe it or not, Phil Collins features on percussion on here, even though the main drummer is this guy, Narada Michael Wald, one of my favourite drummers, who played for the second lineup of the Mahavishnu Orchestra, and of course went on to become a producer for so many acts, and he's still drumming now for like Whitney Houston, Aretha Franklin, and he's made so many pop hits as a producer and engineer. And yeah, so it was interesting seeing him team up with this guy, one of my favourite bassists from back then and still is, Percy Jones, who was in another jazz fusion band that that doesn't get talked about much, called Brand X, which the band, a sideline thing Phil Collins formed, and I think about 75 as a sideline thing to Genesis. It was all instrumental, sort of jazz fusion, but totally original and different from all the American stuff. So yeah, again, haven't seen this particular album online of theirs. I don't think it's available on any streaming services. I haven't searched recently. So interesting album. Yeah, I just realised it's produced by Robin Lumley, who's and believe it or not, the famous percussionist Zakir Hussain plays conga on here. It says congas. Now, he passed away recently. Was it last year or the year before? I think it was last year. I should rip this off because it's sort of falling away, but I wanted to keep the sticker saying who it was put up. I think I got this in Canada. So this is, look at this cover. This is a band called the Rochester Veasley Band. I'm hoping a lot of these albums you've never heard of, because a lot of them are quite obscure. And as I say, a lot of them you won't see them, even online as a CD version or album version. You might, if you really look around. I haven't hunted for them extensively, or very rarely on streaming services. Now, Gerald Veasley, here's the back. This interesting cover there, right? The album's called, does it have a title? It's called 1 Minute of Love. There it is, 1 Minute of Love, right? This is Cornell Rochester here. He's the drummer. And this is Gerald Veasley. So it's their band, a rhythm sections band, basically. And on the back here, you'll see the other musicians. This is, at the time when it came out, in 1985 on Gramavision Records, which tended to have a lot of, I don't know how to describe it. It's one of those areas of jazz. It's not necessarily jazz fusion. I suppose it is in a way. It's electric jazz. It's jazz funk. It's for then new jazz, NU. You know, it was a type of jazz funk fusion crossover, but it had something in it that was quite unique, which you can't really describe. But they were ahead of the game then. Again, that guy James Blood Ulmer, who appeared on Jamaluddin Tacuma. Did I even say his name? This other guy? Did I mention that? This guy, he who appeared on that and used to play with Ornette Coleman a lot, he appears on this as well. Oh, guitar solo, just on one track. Otherwise, it's Gene Terramani, who's the guitarist. Great album. Again, haven't heard it in ages. Can't find it anywhere. So I thought I'd talk about it. Maybe someone watching will go, well, I found it on, I don't know. Now, let's go to some blues. So a lot of you will know or maybe you don't. I thought this was an Alligator. Yeah, it's part of Alligator. This is on an avant-garde label, but distributed through Alligator, I think. Oh no, the label's Alligator. Sorry, I mucked that up. This is the new Youngbloods. So this is it's artists off the label, the Alligator label, I assume. I don't know what avant-garde is. Oh, manufactured and distributed under license from Alligator Records by Avant-Garde Music. So maybe they're the distributors. Alligator is still around, one of the best blues labels there is. And this is incredible. And what I like about it, this came out in 1987. On the back, not only has it got who all the singers of these songs. But it's got a little write-up about each artist, a little bit of info and who's in the band, and so good, you know. My particular favourites on here, standouts for me, was this guy, Michael Coleman, who's like a contemporary, back then, a contemporary blues, rock, funk kind of guitarist. It's real up-tempo, real funky and real groovy. Incredible, Michael Coleman. He's amazing. There's a lot of amazing people on here. And I love these guys, the Kinsey Report, they're brothers, right? There they go there. Corner of the blanket. That's a good track. There's a lot of good tracks on here. Yeah, perhaps some of these artists you wouldn't have heard of. There's Valerie Wellington, Valerie Wellington, a singer. Dion Payton and the 43rd Street Blues Band. The Sons of Blues, Cheetown Hustlers, what a name. Professor's Blues Review featuring Gloria Hardman. John Watkins, the blues guitarist. Morris John Vaughan, another blues guitarist. Melvin Taylor and the Slack Band. Little Ed and the Imperial and the Blues Imperials. They're a bit more well known, you know. Some of these guys, right? Cool album. I think I have seen this online somewhere, but it's quite hard to find, and I can't remember where it was I saw it. That's my bad memory, old age. Now this one, oh man, when this came out, I loved it. So this is Steve Coleman, quite a well-known saxophone and jazz, or more contemporary jazz, again, crossover jazz, new jazz, could you call it jazz fusion? Always pretty funky, his stuff. It's always got very funky bass players. So he came out of, there's a scene in Brooklyn and New York that emerged. What's the year of this album? 1987. Emerged sort of, I suppose, in the early to mid 80s and just kept growing and growing. But it didn't get much publicity because it's mainly all black musicians and which Brooklyn is like that if you ever go to New York. I've only been there once, but there's a lot of black people and a lot of Latinos that work there. And I remember when I went over there meeting some woman from a group of women from over there who are into the arts, and they were telling me how there's as much, this is like way back in 2008 when I was there, there's as much good music going on there as there is in Manhattan. And that's saying something. And they said, basically, it doesn't get the exposure because of the racism that still exists. So these guys, Steve Coleman, and you may know Cassandra Wilson. She's quite famous. She sings on this in the jazz world. Death to Crack Dealers. This is what was going on in the States there with a bit of graffiti, right? Steve Coleman and the 5 Elements, that she's always called his band. That it's so cool. I love this cover. There's the back. There's a bit of graffiti on the back of a truck by the looks. And it's got, you may not know, if all of you jazz people will know, well, you'll know Steve Coleman probably, Cassandra Wilson vocals, Graham Haynes trumpet, Robin Eubanks, I think is, he plays trombone. I think he's the brother or cousin of Kevin Eubanks, the famous jazz guitarist who's another sort of crossover guy. Funny, there's a David Gilmour here on guitar, and it's spelt differently from the famous David Gilmour from Pink Floyd. His is Gilmoure, not Gilmour, I think. David Gilmour from Pink Floyd. But this guy's an amazing guitarist as well. He's more of a funky jazz guy, quite experimental. Check him out. And this bass player I so love, but you don't hear a lot from him now. Kevin Bruce Harris. The tone, the groove, the funk this guy had back then, just phenomenal. And one guy that is quite famous in the jazz and drumming world is Marvin Schmitty Smith, the drummer. He's a black guy with glasses. All this band, they're all black in this band. He's a famous drummer, an amazing drummer who crosses over from, traditional jazz to contemporary jazz to jazz funk, jazz fusion, whatever. The guy's just incredible. He's still around. Haven't seen him on much for a while. So this is 1988. This got released. It was was recorded between in Systems 2 studios in Brooklyn, New York, December 87 to January 88. Incredible album. I don't think I've seen this online. Another one. Right. That's probably enough of that. So if you're interested in any of those albums and you want to find out more, just shove something in the comments and I'll see what I can do. Although it's a bit annoying not being able to, in terms of, obviously playing it because I haven't got a turntable, but also there's all the copyright stuff. Now I want to mention an album. I'm quite a fan of contemporary jazz crossover, and whatever you want to call it, new jazz, I don't know. What did Miles Davis used to say when people used to try and label his music? He goes, it's just music, because that's the problem, I think, with. But sometimes you just got to give that to give people an idea of what it might be like as a standpoint, something to sort of grasp to describe it. Anyway, I recently came across an album after reading this Downbeat magazine, which I used to read all the time years ago. You can get them from the library, right? And the library's actually closed at the moment, even the temporary one, because the new library in Wellington, which already looks amazing, is opening very soon. I think it's March 10th or 11th, and we'll be back to go and read all these incredible magazines and that. There's a little cost for getting them out, and or the CDs. So much good stuff. But this magazine's legendary. It's mainly a jazz magazine, or it does new jazz crossover. And as it says here, blues and beyond. And beyond can be anything from world music to experimental music to unusual music. But it's a great mag. Great read. Anyway, I started reading an interview with this woman here. Here she is. I'd never heard of her. Patricia Brennan. I can't remember if I read the interview or came across one of her tracks off her album first. Not sure. But around about the same time, not so long ago. This is August 2025 thing. And on it, every year Downbeat puts out this thing. It's quite interesting. They have a poll, right? The one poll they have, the first poll they have each year, annually, is the Downbeat Critics poll. So this is music critics doing their poll. And a little bit after that, they have a readers poll, which is done by the readers. It's interesting to go through. But there's a lot of interesting stuff to discover in there. But this interview blew me away. And the album, there's an album she did. It's called Breaking Stretch, right? It's not her latest album. It's the one she put out. When was it recorded? It says something here. Or it came out between September and December 2024. But in this particular readers poll, by the way, she's a vibraphonist, right? So, I mean, even in jazz, you don't sort of hear a lot about vibraphonists. Well, you do. There's people like Gary Burton and that. But there's a lot of young ones coming through now, and she's one of them. Well, she's been around a bit, evidently. Her music is another type of new jazz. I don't know how to put it. It's electric. It definitely is an old school jazz. Is it jazz fusion? Don't know. Is it? I'll just say it's new jazz. It's pretty groovy, it's pretty intense, and it's pretty full on. She does some more laid back stuff, but the music's phenomenal. The band is cooking. And here, to get an idea, check this out. Look at this lot. You get a vibe from that, mate. Here they are. There's your band who play on this amazing album, which the thing is that this album, it won in the 73rd Downbeat Critics poll, it won the Album of the Year and the Vibraphonist of the Year. It's saying something. And interview here, after I read it, I just thought, this woman's amazing. And I went and had a listen to the album. Well, as I said, I can't remember if I heard it first, but it was the first contemporary jazz album I'd heard in a long, long time where I went, fuck, this is different. This is amazing, And it is. Although I know I was hoping for more of that with their newer album, but not quite the same. But so that album, the one I'm talking about in 2024, it won. Let's have a look here. It won. We'll see it. They have all the polls like with and how many votes they got. There it is down there. Album of the Year, right? Patricia Brennan. How many votes they got by the critics? She got 220. So it usually says something. I mean, if you like that sort of music, to some people they might like, it's too full on for me, or it's too intense, or maybe they're not even into jazz of any sort. I don't know. But I think it's amazing. I think go and check it out. And just so you can see, I think somewhere I have a picture. We're up to 41 minutes. I was going to try and make this shorter, but I didn't. So there it is. But at least I've come back with something to talk about. Anyway, let me just find this. So here we go. This is off my phone, sorry. So that's the cover there, right? Breaking Stretch. And the inside must fold out to that, which again is that picture of a band slightly different from the one you saw. And that's the disc with, I guess, the label or the artwork on the label. So Breaking Stretch, Patricia Brennan. Go and check it out. I think, I'm trying to remember where she's from. Like she's based in the States, probably based in New York, but got the sneaking suspicion that she's not from the States originally. God, why can't I remember this? She's 40 years old. Let me see. I must say the drummer on it's amazing. Who is he? Does it say it here? Marcus Gilmore. Some of you jazz drummers out there may have heard of him. Incredible. I think see, this is my ADHD coming in. I was talking about her and trying to find out where she's from, and now I've got onto the drummer. Distracted, too excited. So hang on. Where are we? 1, 2, 3. So this is him here in the photo, the one below my finger. That's Marcus Gilmore, the drummer. Go and check him out. He's phenomenal on this. Phenomenal. So many good drummers coming through, aren't there? I don't know how old he is. He doesn't look too old. I'm just trying to find something about... I had a feeling she might be from Brazil or somewhere. Does it say anything here? Hang on. Oh, I don't know. I'll get back to you on that. You can probably look her up online and find out where she's at. So, anyway, Breaking Stretch, Patricia Brennan. Go and check it out. It's amazing. Okay, now I'm going to wind up. We're already into 44 minutes. I just want to make a mention of a local band from Pōneke, Wellington, here in Aotearoa, New Zealand, called Tahini Bikini. Some of you have probably never heard of them. A lot of you local people may, that get out to gigs and that, probably heard. They're one of my favourite bands, fronted by a woman called Madeline Taylor, otherwise known as Mads or Maddie Taylor, on vocals. Now they have just started embarking on a tour, and let me just find this. I'm pretty sure tonight they play at the Yard in Raglan. Here's a little, they're on a tour. This is interesting. Yeah, tonight it's a 2-band tour. Although Maddie, which surprised me because I knew nothing about her playing drums, the other band that's touring with them, she's also part of, but not singing. She's playing drums, and there they are. So this is the tour, right? There's Tahini Bikini, and there's Maddie up there in the middle. And there's the other band called Zig, what is it? Sig Wilder and Friends. And that's, hang on, that's Maddie there again in that photo with a hat on. They're supposed to be more country, bluesy. It says here, anyway, tonight, although it's sold out, they're playing at the Yard. It says Whangaroa, but evidently at the Yard, but evidently that's part of Raglan, as I understand it. It says here, well, let's look at the guff on it. So yeah, it says they're bringing you a funk country combo. Sig Wilder is here we go. The support act is an old country Americana supergroup fronted by Matthew Campbell with support from Sophia McRae on guitar and vocals, Tessa Dillon on bass and vocals, who was in a band called Mystery Waitress, if that means anything to you. I've never heard of them. And Tahini Bikini's very own Mads Taylor on drums and vocals. I have a feeling this guy, Matthew Campbell, who also goes into the name Zig Wilder, is also from Tahini Bikini, and I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't think he's in the other photo, but I think I've seen him sing with her doing vocals and maybe guitar. I could be wrong on that. That's him down there. I could be confusing. Anyway, I think if you look back on my channel, I did a live video that I uploaded to Tahini Bikini with their song Mother, one of their singles, which is also, I think, on is it on their last album? They've got at least 2 albums out, or have they got 3? No, there's at least 2. So go and check them out. So that's a prelude probably to a gig guide, which I used to do, and I wasn't very regular with it. So I thought I might do either later today or tomorrow. I'll start doing gig guides again and do one for this weekend because there's a lot of gigs coming up. And of course, we've got the fantastic Newtown Festival on Sunday, which has got a lot of bands on it. It's just a 1-day festival, but that's the day. Well, it's a week-long festival, but the day where they have all the performance stuff and that, where they close a lot of the main street in Newtown, which is just Newtown, for those of you who don't know, is a little suburb close, not far from the city. In fact, you could walk from Newtown. I suppose you could walk from Newtown. I think I've walked it back in the day when I used to work there. 25 minutes to Courtney Place to Newtown, maybe. They're closing it off. They usually close the whole main street off and a lot of the side streets when they set up about 5 or 6 stages and have different acts and different types of, they have cultural stuff and that, but a lot of bands, a lot of artists. So go check it out. I'll try and give you some more information on that when I do my gig guide, which I said if it's not later today, it'll be tomorrow. I think that's it for now. I hope this wasn't too long for you or too boring. I hope it was interesting enough. Anyway, I will be back very soon, hopefully, with a gig guide and other numerous postings, and I hope to do more interviews. I have got people lined up who said that they'll do it, musicians and people affiliated with the music scene in other ways who are willing to do an interview. So I'll try and organise those as well, and I want to try and start doing more album recommendations. Again, it's always a pity you can't play them on here because of copyright, but I can talk about them, show the cover, and hopefully I can get my act together with some sort of this AI editing. If it works for me, it may not. If it doesn't, I'll just have to hold up magazines or maybe phone pictures or something. I don't know. Such an old fogey. Need to get my act together and sort out my computer, or I don't know if it's possible. But whatever, I'll work with what I've got and keep trying to do this more regularly. So thanks for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. It won't cost you anything. I don't make any money off this channel yet because I haven't got enough subscribers or enough views per month. I may have enough views per month, I'm not sure, but I'm quite a way. I think I'm only on 700 and something subscribers. I think you've got to have at least 1,000 and then so many views per month to start getting any revenue for it. But it's not why I do this. I do it because I love it and I'm passionate about it. And if that happens, well, so be it. It'll be a bonus. So goodbye, ka kite. I will see you on the next one. Thanks very much.